In the heart of New York, during a time when the city streets were ruled by crime, there was one man who would rise above all others. A man whose name struck fear in the hearts of both his enemies and his allies. John Gotti. Known as the Teflon Don, his rise to power and eventual fall was nothing short of legendary. But how did one man become so untouchable, and then, in the blink of an eye, fall from grace? John Gotti was born on October the 27th, 1940, in the tough, working-class neighborhood of the Bronx. Raised in a world where crime was often a way of life, young John learned early on that loyalty, respect, and toughness could take you places. By the time he was a teenager, Gotti was already making a name for himself, not as a scholar, but as a street-smart kid who knew how to get what he wanted. He quickly found himself drawn into the world of organized crime. Under the wing of influential figures like Carmine, the Beast, Romano, Gotti became involved with the Gambino crime family, the most powerful mafia family in New York. His rise within the ranks was swift, and it wasn't long before his reputation for ruthlessness and cunning would become legendary. But it was a single, bold move that would catapult John Gotti to the top. In December 1985, Gotti ordered the murder of Paul Castellano, the boss of the Gambino family. Castellano had long been a distant figure, relying on business operations rather than street power. But Gotti wanted more, a return to the old ways of mafia leadership, street smart, powerful, and feared. On that cold winter evening, as Castellano entered the Spark Steakhouse in Midtown Manhattan, he never saw it coming. Gotti's men, armed with guns, ambushed him, leaving Castellano lying dead in the street. Gotti's ruthless decision shocked the underworld, but it also made him the new boss of the Gambino family. From that moment on, John Gotti became a name everyone feared and respected. Gotti's ascension to the top was not only about murder, it was about public image. While his counterparts lurked in the shadows, Gotti embraced the spotlight. He was a mafia boss who smiled for the cameras, who shook hands with the rich and powerful, and who strutted through the streets of New York as if he owned them. He lived lavishly, enjoying the fruits of his criminal empire: private jets, expensive suits, and the adoration of the press. The public loved him. He was the perfect mob boss for the media age. Charming, charismatic, and seemingly invincible. But beneath the glitz and glamour, Gotti's life was a ticking time bomb. Gotti became untouchable. He faced multiple charges, including murder, racketeering, and conspiracy. But each time, he walked free. It was the stuff of legends. He earned his nickname, the Teflon Don, because no charges seemed to stick to him. His legal victories were attributed to his carefully chosen team of top-tier lawyers and the loyalty of his crew. When witnesses mysteriously disappeared or were too afraid to testify, it seemed like Gotti was invincible. But as his public persona grew, so did the heat on him. The FBI had been closing in for years, but they could never get enough evidence to bring him down. In the end, it was his own inner circle that would betray him. Sammy the Bull Gravano, his trusted underboss, was one of the key players in Gotti's empire. But when Gravano was faced with the possibility of a life sentence, he made a deal with the government. In exchange for his testimony, Gravano helped bring down Gotti. In 1992, after a long and highly publicized trial, John Gotti was convicted on charges of murder, racketeering, and a host of other crimes. The Teflon Don's luck had finally run out. It was the end of an era. Gotti was sentenced to life in prison, and his reputation as the untouchable mafia boss was shattered. John Gotti's fall from grace was swift. His public persona crumbled, and the once feared mafia boss was now just another inmate behind bars. Gotti died in 2002 in a federal prison hospital after a battle with cancer. His story was one of power, hubris, and ultimate downfall, a reminder that even the most untouchable can fall when the foundations of loyalty and trust are broken.